Hey, Nicholas Wells here. Last week I made the video announcing that I would be doing a Q&A this week, and you guys submitted some great questions, so I am here to answer them. I've actually been kind of sick for like 2 weeks, so hopefully I don't sound too nasally. This is actually my home setup for where I do a lot of my writing, a lot of my arranging. I got my keyboard and my Pro Tools set up and some microphones here and there, and it's great because I really kind of put all of my ideas together here, and then we go to the studio with my arrangements and track them for real. Sometimes when the mood is just right here and it's late at night or 2 in the morning and I've tracked a vocal that I really love, sometimes we're like, yeah, that's the mood, we gotta keep that. So that's happened plenty of times actually. But I have your questions here on my phone. Here we have a question from Denise. She asks, what I wonder most about your creative work is whether it's the music first that comes to your mind and you find lyrics to it, or the other way around. Always, it's been the music first. You know, ever since I was a kid, and I would come home from school and I would be feeling just some real extreme emotion, and I would sit down at the piano and the melody would come out. There would be times where kind of walking around all day with this feeling and it's just kind of boiling over, and I can't even put words to it. It's the kind of thing that like the music comes out when the words don't quite do it. After I've written the music, then I have to kind of step back and sort of logically think about, all right, well, this is what drove me to write this song, this is the theme here, and I really think about the sort of poetry behind that in actual words. Sort of a 2 or 3 part question here from Karen. She asks, what genre of music has influenced you the most in your songwriting? Who was your favorite artist when you were growing up? And if you could visit one place in the world, where would you go? The genre of music that influenced me the most, there have been a lot of singer-songwriters, as well as the unexpected influence has been movie scores. As a kid, I just ate them up. I loved all of the music in movies from composers like Alan Silvestri, John Williams, Thomas Newman, and all that stuff that brings so much emotion without even any words. That's always been a huge love of mine, and all the beautiful arrangements for the orchestras. My mom once told me as a kid there was a birthday party I had where I took a whole bunch of friends to the movie theater. I must have been, 7, 8 years old, something like that. She said that when we all came out of the movies, all the kids were talking, oh man, like, remember that scene where the guy did this or that? And she heard me say to somebody, oh, did you hear the music in that one part? That was awesome. Or so it's like, that's kind of always what I've kind of focused on. Starting up on piano, I completely just went to town on the Elton John songbook, Billy Joel. That's where I really kind of honed a lot of my piano chops. I really loved a lot of work by John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, and maybe I'll make a little playlist of songs that have influenced me in my writing. Visit one place in the world, where would you go? I have no idea. I kind of just want to see it all, while I'm here. There's a lot of places I'd love to go and explore and see all the amazing things to see. And I guess maybe I have a little bit of a preference for warm weather, so I do love tropical places like Hawaii was amazing. I'd love to go back there. Christina asks, 2-part question. Would you ever consider doing a duet? And if you could choose your duet partner and they were famous, who would it be? And also, what's your favorite oldies song? I've actually been thinking about writing a duet, and I hadn't quite kind of figured out who would like to do it with, but I was definitely thinking that would be awesome, especially like a female-male vocal thing. All off the top of my head, I guess, especially if it were like a really emotional kind of male-female duet, I would love to sing with Adele. That would be pretty awesome. I think that we would have a really cool thing. There are a couple of my favorite oldie songs, like the classic, I think, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I've actually wanted to cover that. A lot of things that like Tony Bennett or Frank Sinatra sang, like Fly Me to the Moon, One of my favorite older songs is the song that Gene Wilder sings in Willy Wonka, the Pure Imagination. That song is just amazing. It's so beautiful. So maybe I'll do an oldies cover. Jolene asks, how old were you when you started piano lessons, and are your parents musicians? I started piano lessons, I believe I was 4. My first teacher was my mother. I can't imagine as a 4-year-old I was very cooperative, but she put up with me until I actually don't remember what age, but then I switched over to just another piano teacher in the area, and then I continued, and I've been obviously playing it ever since, but the lessons stopped a while ago. My parents are musicians, not professionally, but definitely had a major influence on me and my 2 brothers, and we actually all used to jam as a family band, and every Christmas we'd come downstairs and unwrap some piece of equipment that we had never seen before. My dad was just so supportive. He'd go down to the store and figure out some cool recording piece of gear, and I started writing because I had this stuff. I wanted to track my own songs, so I started writing and recording my songs in like 4th grade. I still have all those recordings from 4th grade up till now, and so I can kind of cycle through them, and it's pretty cool. We used to get together when my brothers would hop on saxophone, my other brother played drums, my dad played guitar. One time it was New Year's Eve and we were all just jamming, at home, very young. We recorded one song that I sort of wrote that night for the occasion. I think I was in like 5th grade, but it goes a little bit like this.
We're waiting for the drop of the ball. It's New Year's Eve and we're all drinking alcohol.
Here's a question from Dawn. What was the first song you ever wrote, and can we hear it? Well, we just heard a song that was pretty early. The first song I ever wrote, I might not even have the first, I have it somewhere in sheet music. I had written it out, but actually that one that I just played for you was one of the earliest recordings I have. Andrew asks, what makes a good song in your opinion? Is it the lyrics or the musical notes? I think that a good song is one that comes from the heart, one that isn't sort of manufactured. And I feel like, at least for me with my writing, I'm proudest of the ones that just pour out of me. And those are the ones that I really end up keeping and releasing. They come from a place that I can't even explain. It's not like I sat down and said, all right, well now I'm gonna write a song about this. It's that I had to write that song. There's actually a song on my new EP that I'm working on. It was the middle of the night. I was down here working on some other stuff. It was like 2 in the morning. Like, all right, I'm gonna get ready to go to bed, but I just had this feeling. I was like, let me just play a little piano. And I played the piano, and just immediately this melody came out, and I just started saying words, and it worked. And I sat down here for maybe an hour and I wrote the whole thing, and that might be one of my favorite songs from the new EP. It's everything that I've been feeling recently, and that's what I think makes a good song, is the combination of the words and music, but in a way that it accurately and genuinely conveys an important emotion that the writer is feeling. Daisy wrote, you are so talented. I love your music and your voice. It fills my heart up and calms me. So that's, I guess, not a question, but I really appreciate that. And, all of your comments, that you guys leave on my videos or my Facebook wall and Twitter, they make my day. They really do. I don't know if you understand how much it means to just, I'm working so hard on this music, and then to get a comment like this, I look down and it just makes me so much more excited to continue making music. It's a tough business, it's a tough thing to do and keep on going. So all the encouragement and having you guys actually really interested in what I'm doing and appreciating it and telling me about it, it really makes all the difference. So thank you. Thank you, Daisy, and thank you all very much. This question is, have you ever wanted to go on a music competition show? like I guess I'm assuming like X Factor or The Voice or American Idol. I've wanted to in a sense because I think it would be just such great exposure if I could have enough people hear me. You know, that's it. And you guys have been awesome with that, with sharing music with your friends, and it's been awesome meeting all of your friends and everybody who's kind of come to tell me that they are enjoying my music. It's difficult with the audition process for those things because in addition to just a good voice, they're looking for a particular face, a particular demographic or age or whatever will fit there. You gotta remember it's also a TV show, so it's harder than just singing. And I tried out for two, and I got pretty far in one of them, and ended up turning into something that was not favorable. So it ended. I can't really talk about it because I have no idea what I signed going into it. So that's where that ends. But it's difficult. Maybe if the opportunity presented itself again, I would do it because it would be awesome exposure. And again, I'm just trying to get my music out there. Similar to the other comment question, this is, how do you have such a beautiful voice? It makes me jealous. Again, I really appreciate these comments. It makes me so happy. I sing the way I do because I've been singing for a really long time. I started out just kind of singing along to everything. And I think that's how I really first learned to sing, is I picked different singers that I actually tried to sing the song exactly like them. So when I was even playing some Elton John songs, I would even model his accent and try, and my parents would be like, oh my God, you sound just like the person. But the important thing about singing is to not sound exactly like somebody else, is you gotta find your own voice. But in starting out, that's what I did, is just copying other people and learning how do they make the sound. Oh wow, but it was so frustrating when my voice changed. Oh my God, that for like 3 or 4 years after that, it was just the hardest thing to find my voice again, because it was suddenly all these notes that I was comfortable singing are not in my range anymore, or just I have to learn how to sing there properly, because when you're, pre-adolescent, it's just, you could sing all the way, whatever. But eventually, to get some of the higher notes, I did some vocal training, and that really helped me. That helped me open my eyes to what about my voice sounded good and how I should control it. And the other thing that I would say that really helps is, over all these years, to continue recording, really listen and judge yourself and say, that was cool, but I could have done it this way, and try it. Just a lot of experimentation, a lot of work, but you gotta love it. The Grim Minor. Hi Nicholas, it's Theo. How many times do you usually take until you like the way the song sounds? It is a lot. I'll spend days sitting at the piano and singing the song and really studying my lyrics and trying to figure out, all right, well, how do I want to say that? And but it's tough, because then the more you think about it, actually, then it's harder for it to just come naturally. So you actually have to, I find, play and practice a song so much that you get used to all the things you worked on, and so then when you go to record it, that's what comes naturally, and it's about really trying to give the best performance that shows the emotion of the song and does the song justice. Okay, sort of a two-part question. How do you feel when A Little Bit was chosen to be the ending song for Morgan with the movie? And if you're chosen to be a big entertainment company singer, but you only have to sing their shallow and crazy song, would you do it? That's a good question. Okay, so first part, A Little Bit, for those of you who haven't heard it, still one of my favorite songs of mine that I really hold dear, so I hope you check it out. But yeah, several years ago it was chosen to be in the movie Morgan, an indie film that was on Netflix for a little while. And actually through that, I got to meet quite a few of you who came to find me afterwards, which I'm so glad. But yeah, I got a email from the director one day. I guess it was like 2011 or something like that. And I thought, this is so cool. That's really what I would love, is just for my music to be in more movies and TV shows. And so I was very excited. Really been cool to have people find my music from that movie. That'd be at a friend's house, be like, oh, you have Netflix? Oh, check out this movie. I'll go to this part. And they'd be like, wait, whoa, that's your song. And if I'm chosen to be in a big entertainment company, would I sing their shallow songs? It's a good question, because I've wondered that. It's always been about the writing for me and just putting out what I feel and making recordings of the music that I've written. And so I've wondered, if I got picked up by a big label and they wanted me to sing their songs or their writers. You gotta think that they're not gonna make a dumb call. They're not gonna totally make me switch genres or any of that kind of thing. But I would probably say that what I would do is maybe make a little, like, a compromise. I'd say, all right, well, I want to have this many songs on the album be the ones that I've written for all of my true fans, and then sure, I'll work with some other writers on ones that you guys want me to do it with. But that's probably how I do it. But it would be an amazing opportunity to be signed to a major label, just because of the opportunities that it opens up, and just putting you in front of the line for being featured everywhere and getting your music out there. It is very difficult as an independent artist. So I might as well say now again, thank you guys so much for sharing my music with your friends, and please continue to do so. It helps me out so much. And follow me on Spotify and YouTube, and hopefully we can really make this a big thing. Rob asks a 3-part question. Number 1, I know that music is your life and it's a gift to us all. Thank you. But what's your favorite thing to do when you aren't writing, producing, or playing? All right, so that's part 1. Do I do anything else? It does take up a lot of my time. Besides that, what I do still try and make time for, which is just the mindless activity that, I've always loved, is actually really enjoy video games. On my computer, I love the strategy games or just the adventure games, and it's nice to get lost in a different world that you can completely manipulate, especially with some of I love the really awesome graphics in some of the games. So I love to do that, and cook, which I'm sure a lot of you know by now because of all of the pictures I post of my food. And as I always say, I love to cook because I love to eat. Especially if I go to a restaurant and there's a dish there that I love, I just can't help myself. I have to go home and cook it 100 times until I get it the way they did it. I figure it out. I've done that with pizza or pasta dishes, or just maybe I'll do a show and I'll have like dinner and music. I'll make the food and then you guys come over the music and we'll do it up. Okay, have you ever messed up during a show? And if so, how do you handle it? Never messed up. I'm perfect. I think every musician I know messes up in a tiny way every show. And you know that someone, I guess, is experienced when you can't tell. That's really it. How do you handle it? So here's an example. You might like play reach for the wrong note or something, or within a chord, but then I'll kind of like use that as a grace note to go into another chord or something. Or it's because you get so into the emotion of the performing. You play a song differently every time, and it's all about that. I would say probably the most egregious mistake you could make is forgetting the words. That's hard to hide. You just kind of like tuck your mouth into the microphone you know, and then it's like, oh, wait, what did he say? You know, or just like play the piano a little extra hard. All right, Shannon asks, how old were you when you wrote your first song, and what was it? And will you sing it? I was about 8 years old. Like I said, my parents had gotten us a whole bunch of recording equipment, and I really wanted to, record my song. I think I first, sat down with this cool keyboard they gave us where you can multi-track all the instruments, and so I tried out covering other songs. Basically, I was 8, but I was sitting there and like programming in drum sounds and the piano and experimenting with that with cover songs. And eventually I was like, oh wow, I'd really love to be able to sing my own songs and make a CD of my stuff. Or I don't know if it was a CD at that point. I think I wrote it about a family vacation that we went on. Like I think I exaggerated and said something about like jetpacking through the Alps or something like that. I don't know, but that I have to find it. I have a recording of it somewhere. Will I sing it? Well, I don't know if I remember that one well enough, but I will say that there have been a ton of songs I've written since then. Not just the ones I've released, like so many through high school and early college, and there are a ton of them that I've never released that I keep going back to in these recordings, and I really still love. And so I've been thinking like I gotta release these at some point. So I think you will hear me sing a lot of my early stuff, and maybe I'll make even an album of like the early stuff. The early years, because I would love to share those stories with you, and they're really what led me to who I am today. Bob asks on Twitter, vlog question, what things would you be doing in life if you couldn't do music, and why? I'd be a cinematographer, maybe, he says. That's pretty funny that you say that, because that's kind of my answer. I've always really loved telling a story through picture as well, and actually most recently my Stumbling Forward video I completely shot and edited myself. I'm pretty sure a bunch of people passed by this crazy guy in a field singing to a camera. One of the things that's been pretty awesome is combining my love of making movies with the music, because I've been able to make some cool music videos and studio videos, and I, as a kid, loved making movies. Actually, I would take my parents' video camera and we'd get together with my friends and I'd write scripts. Most of the time they would have to involve toy guns. That was, because we were 9, 10-year-old boys.
Okay, let's go.
There was always firecrackers would be our pyrotechnics. We'd be running through them as it'd be exploding and stuff, but we used to make our own James Bond movies. And
we meet again for the third and the last time, Mr. Bonds.
So that's probably what I would be doing, actually. I've always said it was kind of as a kid, I was I either want to be a musician, a filmmaker, or a writer, actually. I wrote long novels when I was younger, and that was a big thing of mine. So I guess just a lot of writing. Amber on Twitter asks, what's your favorite place to visit? I guess this could be taken a few ways, places to go on vacation or places around me that I like to go. Around here, one of my favorite things to do is just a couple of reservoirs and lakes that I just love walking around. I guess in general, one of my favorite things to do is to go completely get away from everything and go take a walk in nature. Just be with my thoughts and think about life and all that. And there's actually a nature reservation right nearby here. Then that's actually where I did a lot of filming for my music video, Stumbling Forward. So my favorite place to go on vacation, when I was younger, my family always used to go to Virginia, to Williamsburg, Virginia. We used to go to Virginia Beach. And then there was actually this restaurant there, Captain George's seafood restaurant there. It was amazing. They had, it was a buffet of seafood, and I literally would get 8 plates of food before starting on dessert. So I love seafood. So then after that, we would actually then go up to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, which is a amusement park in Williamsburg, and that I have so many fond memories there. That's one of my favorite places to go and feel like a kid again. Edward asks, what made you want to sing and who inspired you? That's a very good question. What really inspired me to pursue singing and pursue writing and performing, through like middle school and high school, there was just so much I went through. And just through all of the emotional ups and downs, there was always the writing and singing. There was always, I was making my own albums even at that point of just, I was labeling, this is summer before 8th grade, this is winter of 9th grade. And I had such a connection of these important moments to music, and there's so many artists I have in my iTunes library that I listen to that are just, I listen to the song and immediately I'm 15 or I'm 14. Music became such an important part of getting through the ups and downs of life and figuring it all out. So it's meant so much to me for so long, and I just couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. I still can't. It's just, it's helped me through so much. All right, next we have a question from Nancy. If you could give a piece of advice to those that are shy to sing or those that never dare to try music because they assumed that they weren't musically inclined, what advice would you give so they could sing so freely like you do? So many miss out on the beauty of music because they're afraid to try. I would say music is so much about the enjoyment it brings to you individually, and obviously it's great to share it with others, and that's one of the things that I love most. What I love most about it is I get to show a side of me to people that I don't normally in regular conversation. It's me sharing these emotions that just boil over, and when I go play a show, I can just pour it out into the microphone, and you should feel free to do the same thing. Wondering if you have a music journey you'd like to share. So I was thinking about this, and I have one fun story. So in middle school, I have 7th grade, and they used to have these school dances for us, which was pretty much like you'd get excited all week because you're like, oh man, that girl that I really like, this is gonna be the time. I'm gonna ask her to dance and it's gonna happen. And then you'd get there that night, and then you spend the entire night thinking about, oh my God, I can't do it. And then the night's over, and then you're depressed for the rest of the weekend. But forget about that. In the theater, is sometimes I saw they would hire some bands. So they'd have kind of like the cafeteria where they'd have a DJ and everybody would be dancing. And then in the theater, they would have a band come and who would just, you could sit and watch and they'd perform. So partially in a plan to win over somebody I had a crush on at the time, I was like, you know what? I am gonna perform in the theater. I had never performed like my songs anywhere really and sung. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be really cool. And we had this fog machine. I was like, this is gonna be really awesome. So I mean, like in my head, this looked like a rock show, and I think it was like me on a stool with this little fog machine blowing smoke behind me. But I don't know. But anyway, actually, after I did the performance and I played all my songs, and actually a lot of people from school came. In my head, I had imagined like that person who I had a crush on just like running on stage and, throwing her arms around me. That didn't happen. But actually afterwards, like a lot of people came up and kind of overwhelming me. And I kind of got like a little nervous. I was like, 12 years old. I was like, all right, and I ran out the back of the school and completely just like ran. And I ran around the outside of the school and kind of came in the front door. And I think the principal was like, hey, Nicholas, what are you doing? Weren't you just in the... So that's a fun little story from my past. Thank you guys so much for asking me these questions. I really hope I didn't miss any. I went around to my Twitter, my YouTube, my Facebook, and tried to copy all the ones that I saw. If you guys have any more questions, I'd love to do this again. Feel free to send me messages, or we can do a part 2. But thank you guys again so much for supporting me in what I love to do. And it's just amazing to me that my music has actually made an impact in all of your lives. That's just amazing to me. I can't wait to share with you all the music I'm working on, the new stuff. And as always, just, if you could please follow me on Spotify, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you haven't yet actually heard all the songs from my latest album, Stumbling Forward, or even the album before that, Something to Believe In, that's all on iTunes, Amazon. So, pick up a copy. And actually, I also even have on my website a link to get an autographed CD from me. So, hold on. I can take one of these from the stack I have over there, either Stumbling Forward or Something to Believe In. Literally, I could take this one right now in my hand, sign it, write you a little note, and send it to you. Looking forward to hopefully playing for you guys live soon. I have a couple of shows coming up in New York, and I'm trying to get out there. Actually, early next year, I'll be getting into Pennsylvania and going a little further south. So, thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Bye-bye.